Hi everybody, it's Chris and welcome back to another video. Today I thought I would share and rank my favourite Deep Purple and related singles. Now, anyone that knows Deep Purple really well will know they've got a big family tree, and so there's quite a lot to choose from in many ways. But what I thought I'd do today is share one single from any one offshoot of Deep Purple and include some Deep Purple 45s as well. So I'm only going to have one single for any one band, but I'm going for 4 singles from Deep Purple themselves. So a single from Mark 1, a single from Mark 2, from Mark 3 and Mark 4. I'm not going to include anything post 75 and the reunion years. So let's get into it. At number 20, we've got Nick Simper's Dynamite. Now this was a band that he put together with fellow musician Peter Parks, both of which had been in the band Warhorse prior to this, and they had recorded a version of the Easy Beats song with Warhorse St. Louis, and they decided to redo it. This is an Italian copy. I don't think it was released in the UK, and it did quite well in Italy. In fact, I think of all the countries it's released in, it did the best in Italy. So that's Nick Simper's Dynamite and St. Louis. Easy Beats cover, and that's at number 20. At number 19, we've got an edited version of Sail On by American hard rock band called Zephyr. Now Zephyr were from Boulder, Colorado, and they featured Tommy Bolin. Tommy Bolin was of course the guitarist that replaced Ritchie Blackmore on the album Come Taste the Band. And this is the first track, an edited version granted, but the first track on the first album by that band Zephyr. I don't mind them. I was always put off by the vocalist. Her name is Candy Gibbons, and she's a bit Janis Joplin-like, which I find a little bit screamy, but the guitar work on it is certainly really good. The album version is better than the single. So that's Zephyr at number 19 with Sail On. At number 18, we've gone for rock concept kind of group really called Phenomena. This is a track called Dance with the Devil. Now it's not the Cozy Powell track, although he does feature on this. This is a kind of a concept group in many ways, a revolving door of musicians, which included Glenn Hughes. And Glenn Hughes sings on the first album, almost all of the songs I think on the first album, and certainly this particular track, which is drawn from the first album. So that's at number 18, and that's Phenomena and Dance with the Devil. At number 17, we've got Madeleine by the Ian Gillan Band. Now, when Ian Gillan left Deep Purple, initially he didn't involve himself in any music other than opening up his own recording studio, but he then formed the Ian Gillan Band and produced a couple of sort of almost jazz fusion, jazz rock-like albums. This particular track is from the third album he did with the Ian Gillan Band called Scarabaeus, and it's slightly more of a rocky direction. This is an edited version from the album, which is a shame because the album version has got a really nice guitar work as an outro, and it kind of fades out very quickly on the single version. But that's number 17, that's Madeleine by Ian Gillan Band. Now at number 16, I've gone with a project between David Coverdale and Jimmy Page, and that was Coverdale Page. So the track I've gone with is Take Me for a Little While. Now this is the 12-inch, obviously the 12-inch picture disc of it. It also came out as a CD single and also as a CD single box set, which does feature kind of, little picture cards and so on. The B-side of it is a track called Shake My Tree, which the riff of which was left over from the In Through the Outdoor sessions with Led Zeppelin. So that's my, number 16, Take Me for a Little While, Coverdale Page. A kind of a strange partnership, I always felt. And the vocals for me, I like David Coverdale's voice, but on there he sounds like he's been gargling shattered windscreens. His voice sounds really rough, but anyway. That's at number 16. At number 15, I'm going for Episode 6. So this was the band that Roger Glover and Ian Gillan were in before they joined Deep Purple in 1970. Episode 6. And this is a cover of their version of a song called Morning Dew, which is also covered by Tim Rose and Grateful Dead. Really nice version of it. In fact, and that's Episode 6. That's from 1967 on Pi Records, and that's my number 15. Ian Gillan and Episode 6. Okay, number 14. This is the first of the Deep Purple, 4 Deep Purple singles. This is Kentucky Woman. That's a Neil Diamond song. It's back with a track called Hard Road. Well, that's what it was called in the States, which this is an American copy. I don't think they released this in the UK. In fact, I know they didn't release this in the UK. It's back with a track called Hard Road, which is generally called Ring That Neck, which was a track that featured in their live set for a number of years. In fact, excerpts of that feature within tracks like Space Trucking Live, quite often on some of their live material. But a nice little single. It has some really nice keyboard and guitar work on it, and kind of signalled the direction of travel, especially for John Lord, I fancy. Some really nice keyboard work. That's Kentucky Woman, Deep Purple, Mark 1, and that's at number 14. At number 13, I've gone with Love Is All by Roger Glover and Guest. So this is taken from the kind of rock opera Butterfly Ball and the Grasshopper's Feast. So Roger Glover, originally it was meant to be a project for John Lord, but he didn't get involved because he was doing other things, so Deep Purple. So Roger Glover produced the album himself. This particular song, which was I think quite successful, not in the UK, but certainly quite successful in Europe, features a fairly youngish Ronnie James Dio on vocals. A really nice song. Love Is All. And that's at number 13. At number 12, I'm going with Dixie Dregs and Take It Off the Top. Now, this particular EP has got 3 tracks on it, actually. Belgian Tom's Hat Trick and Picking the Blues. Obviously, a Whitesnake link and Deep Purple link there. And this is Grinders Switch, which is a kind of a southern rock band, and that was the theme tune for John Peel. But this particular track by Dixie Dregs, which does feature Steve Morse, who became the guitarist in the kind of 90s period of Deep Purple. Take It Off the Top was used as the theme tune for the Friday Night Rock Show, and that will be very familiar to lots of people of a certain age here in the UK. That was at number 12. At number 11, we're going with Savannah Woman by Tommy Bolin. So this is a track that's taken from his debut album, Teaser, which is a fantastic album. Really, really good album. He recorded it round about the same time as Come Taste the Band. This is Tommy Bolin on Nempera Records. I think this might be a promo. Yeah, it is a promo because it's got Savannah Woman on both sides, a stereo and a mono version of it, and a really gentle song. He's got a really understated vocal. I like his vocal, actually. It's very gentle, it's nice. That's at number 11. At number 10, again, we've got Tommy Bolin, this time when he was in the James Gang, and this is the opening track to the second album he recorded with them called Miami. This is Cruising Down the Highway. Has a really nice little guitar solo in there. So that's my number, what was that, number 10. James Gang, Cruising Down the Highway, featuring Tommy Bolin. At number 9, got a Vertigo Swirl single. This is Warhorse and their version of St. Louis. So I mentioned earlier Nick Simper's Dynamite, which features Peter Parks as well, both of which were in the band Warhorse. And this is a track taken from their first album, simply called Warhorse, and it's an Easy Beats cover, as I mentioned earlier. So that's my number 9, Warhorse, St. Louis. Number 8, Coast to Coast by Trapeze on Threshold Records. This was a track taken from their third album from 1972, You're the Music, We're Just the Band, I think it was called from memory. This is, I think, the highlight of that album, and he would go on to record this. This is Glenn Hughes singing this from Trapeze. He would go on to do another version of this on the Hughes Thrall album as well, which is also a good version, not as good as the original, but really nice vocal on here. That's and the B-side, actually, Your Love Is Alright, is a really good track as well. So really nice 45 from Trapeze, featuring Glenn Hughes, who was in obviously Mark 3 and Mark 4 Deep Purple. That's at number 8. At number 7, gone for the debut single from David Coverdale. So when he left Deep Purple, when Deep Purple broke up, he formed his own band, which went on obviously to be Whitesnake. Initially it was just released under his own name, David Coverdale, and this was the first single he released, Breakdown, which is all about the breakup of Deep Purple. The B-side, however, I think which is called Only My Soul, both tracks of which appear on his debut album North Winds, but Only My Soul is one of the best vocal performances ever from David Coverdale. It's absolutely beautiful. I prefer it to the A-side, but the A-side is pretty good too. So that's David Coverdale and Breakdown on Purple Records at number 7. At number 6, we've got David Coverdale again, this time in the fully fledged version of Whitesnake and the classic from 1980, Fall for Your Lovin'. This is a signed copy by Neil Murray and Bernie Marsden, sadly passed away not that long ago. And there's the Luminous sleeve that also came out at the same time. A classic song. They did re-record it in the early 90s really badly with Steve Vai, and it was just too widdly and fiddly, but that's a tremendous single. Did quite well for them. Great band around that time. That's 1980s, Fall for Your Lovin', and that's at number 6, Whitesnake. At number 5, this is a little bit of a cheat because it's a promo 12-inch. And it's the band Gillan. So this Ian Gillan, after he left broke up the Ian Gillan band, he put together another band. He did take with him Colin Towns, who had been previously in the Ian Gillan band, and he was one of the main songwriters, in fact, for Gillan. And this is just a promotional 12-inch that came out just prior to the album Mr. Universe being released. So this has She Tears Me Down, Puget Sound, Vengeance, which was the lead single from the Mr. Universe, and the title track, Mr. Universe. Sadly, the version of Mr. Universe on here is an edited version, which is a shame. The other songs are the normal album versions, but Mr. Universe is just a brilliant song. The guitar from Bernie Torme on that is out of this world. It's fantastic. So that is from Mr. Universe, which sold probably about 2 million copies worldwide. Did really well, but the label that produced it, which is Acrobat, went bust, and therefore didn't produce the albums that they needed to really put the sales on. Okay, so that was at number 5, and that's Ian Gillan and She Tears Me Down. Next up, number 4. This is a Mark IV Deep Purple single, and it's the closing track on the album Come Taste the Band, a song I think David Coverdale had written when he was relatively young, but I think before he was in Deep Purple possibly, and then it was embellished by Glenn Hughes as well. It's called You Keep On Moving. This closes Come Taste the Band. It's a fantastic single. The B-side is Love Child, which is also tremendous as well. It's got some nice guitar playing on it too from Tommy Bolin, but that for me is my favourite Mark IV song, so it's good to see that was a single. And that's at number 4. At number 3, an edited version of possibly my favourite Deep Purple song, certainly in top 3 every single time. Didn't come out in the UK as a single. This is an American single. In the UK we had a different single. What was it now? Oh, Just Might Take Your Life, I think was the name of the song. But this is Burn, an edited version, granted, of that particular track, but a fantastic single and a fantastic song. It's based on Fascinating Rhythm by George Gershwin, but just a sublime song. I mean, the edited version is okay, but it's not as good as the album, which is about 6 minutes long. This is a 3-minute 42, so I don't know how successful that was as a 45 in the US. Shame it wasn't brought out in the UK, but there we are. That's at number 3. At number 2, we've got Kill the King by Rainbow. This was my entry point to this band. I bought this single in 1977, so I'd never heard the song Kill the King before. In fact, they brought it out live before they put it on a studio album. It was actually a studio version of that, came on a subsequent live album called Long Live Rock and Roll. It's just a wild song. It's cobbled together from 2 particular shows, from Nuremberg and from Munich, and it's kind of meshed together, and you can't tell where the join is at all, but it's just a brilliant song. It's been covered by a lot of rock bands, I believe, but the guitar on it is fantastic, the keyboard is fantastic, the vocal from Ronnie James Dio is just amazing. So Kill the King is my second favourite Deep Purple and related 45, and that leaves 1, and it inevitably is going to be Deep Purple. This was really quite hard because there's a number of songs that they've brought out on 45 that I really, really like. But I'm going for a nostalgic pick. One of the first singles I owned. Now, I bought the first ever album I bought, which is I just started secondary school, it's about 1976. I bought an album called 24 Karat Purple. And the A-side of this single does feature on that particular album. So I was aware of the track, but I was really getting into rock music in 77, punk and metal and so on. And I bought this single and I absolutely loved it, but it was the B-side that I really liked. And I've never heard this particular song on the B-side. I didn't realise that actually the song that was on the B-side of this single had been previously a B-side of Never Before, and it had been left off Machine Head. But the lead single is Black Night on the new Live and Rare EP. It comes on purple vinyl. I absolutely love this version. This was my favourite version of this particular song. It was used as an encore. It came from Tokyo 72 concert, which was one of the 3 concerts they used for Made in Japan, and it was an encore. It's an absolutely brilliant. It did actually come out as a B-side, I think, of Woman from Tokyo in various countries around the world, not in the UK, and it featured on 24 Karat Purple, so I was aware of it. But on the B-side, we've got Painted Horse, which is an outtake from Who Do We Think We Are album, and a track called When a Blind Man Cries, which is one of my favourite Purple songs. It was, as I said, it was a B-side of Never Before, the single that came from Machine Head. And it was a track that Ritchie Blackmore allegedly didn't like and didn't want on Machine Head. It's always on subsequent anniversary copies, but a brilliant single with my favourite version of Black Night. And that's my #1 Deep Purple and related single. So tell me what you think in the comments below. What have I missed? What do you like? What are your favourites? What's your order? So thank you very much for watching, and I'm sure I'll be back sometime soon with another video. Cheers.